Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. I'm your boy Tactics. Get it together, Umar.
and just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today?
Confused. Like just before we go live, Umar just says some wild ass stuff just randomly, and that's all the tactics that I can think about right now.
Let's just say that I was taking Tactics' Instagram stories and using it against him and completely confusing Darcy. But I do want to give a shout out to my bros right now. Like, you guys know us as the Geeky Bros Podcast, but Darcy has just finished completing and launching Tactics' official website for his ability to be a professional trainer, and also for being a holistic health therapist. So my bros, great website, fantastic work all around. I'm so excited for both of you.
Man, all the praise and adulation goes to Darcy, man. I couldn't have done it without him and Ching, his partner, who took the photos for the website. So shout out to her. Shout out to my girl for being a model for some of the photos. And yeah, truly honored to have such close, talented people in my corner helping me progress and evolve in this shit. So thank you.
I mean, I don't know what to say other than I also modeled in that photo shoot.
Yes, you did. I mean,
it's probably the last time I'm gonna do that.
Oh man! I didn't want to take away your shine from the heavy lifting that you actually did, because I mean, we didn't really do any lifting for real in the photos. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, actually, you did do some heavy lifting. You did deadlifts in the photos.
Oh yeah, yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, no, I just sat around in the photos looking like a wounded animal and be like, please assess my knee. Which ironically at the time my knee was bothering me, so it was perfect.
Worked out perfectly indeed. If one of you can drop the link in the chat, because Maybot is interested, but also for anyone watching, if you're interested in personal training or holistic health therapy, or if you want to create a website and need someone to set that up for you, my boy Tactics and my boy Darcy are here to help you guys out with that. So I as someone who has witnessed and also been training with both of them respectively, I can guarantee they are the best there is. So congrats to you two, and hoping all the best. Don't leave me a Geeky Bros Podcast by myself.
Took a dark turn at the end there.
I got scared. But anyway, and also just a little piece of housekeeping as usual. We're going to be covering several topics throughout the podcast for today. So for those of you who are not watching the non-live version, check the descriptions below. You'll be able to see timestamps for each of the different topic areas. If you want to go to that one specific, just click ahead. So I'm just going to jump into the agenda, if that's cool with my bros.
Do it.
All right. First piece of geeky news that came out this past week was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem trailer. Now, I will say that this is a brand new movie for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. I had heard about this a while back, and I will admit, I was not really that enthused about it. I heard especially that this was going to be something that was being produced by Seth Rogen, and while I like him, I wouldn't say I'm always in love with his stuff, but still I was I guess. I saw some pictures here and there of what the animation would look like, and again, I wasn't really feeling it. And then the trailer dropped this past week, and put it mildly, I was sufficiently impressed. So before we go any further than that, I do want to hear what my bros have to say about it. I actually loved it. I actually loved the trailer. I love the animation. For me, it gave off a bit of a Into the Spider-Verse vibe in terms of animation, and the voice acting just sounded really good, and I found myself laughing. Like I was actually trying to be more critical, but I couldn't help myself, and I was actually enjoying it, and I ended up like laughing through it. So me personally, I love the trailer, and I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. But what do my bros have to say? So Darcy, let's start with you, man. What do you think?
Loved it. It visually, it's a perfect cross between Into the Spider-Verse and the animated, like the 3D animated show that we had not that long ago. I forget what it was called. The one that Umar you really loved.
The TMNT one.
Yeah, it was like a few years back now that they had that show.
The 2012 one.
Oh, maybe
the TV series.
Way more years back than I remember. But
yeah, that was the one where okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah, but it's like it for me it was like a cross from that, because it's like the art style or the shaping of the actual turtles and stuff like that kind of reminded me of that show, but like if you were to update it and bring that Spider-Verse vibe, which for me was like really, really good, because it's like, I don't know, paid homage and it felt really good. I love the fact that they're teenagers, like actual teenagers. Like every time we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they're not really teenagers. Like,
you have grown-ass adults voicing them.
Yeah, and they're like monstrous, like I'm Michael Bay. Get out of here. Anyways, so
oh, God.
it's fun, and yet I feel like there's going to be some serious moments, but there's going to be a lot of fun in this. And I also like the fact that, like, yes, obviously if they go year after year after year, will they go like if they show movie after movie after movie, will this grow into something more, or will they stay teenagers? Regardless, I love this. It's just so much fun vibe, and I'm a big Raph guy, and I'm like, Raph was actually like, I liked him a lot in that he was more funny than, like, he's usually always too like surly, but I loved how it was like he was just like how to put it, like, just move, just do something. Like there's a scene where he's like, well, I guess there's nothing we can do, let's go. And it's like, and it was very much like there's clearly something left we can do, but I'm like, yeah, that's Raph, that makes sense, I like it. Yeah, I'm vibing with this. Yo, Tactics, what are your vibes?
Yeah, I love this trailer, man. I didn't think I would because I had super low expectations, but yeah, this trailer gave me everything I needed. I have a couple of notes, so I'll start with my cons, and then I'll go into the pros outside of the fact that I do overall love the trailer. And these are just like small nitpicks, nothing really major. But for me, first and foremost, I love the fact, like, I agree with Darcy. I love the fact that they are teenagers. They sound like teenagers. I do have a soft spot for the original TMNT movie, and those voices, those are always like staple, like ingrained in my brain as like, oh, those are the Ninja Turtles. I just love a lot of the New York isms in there. But yeah, like I love Raph especially, man. But overall, I love the voice acting. The only thing that kind of irked me a little bit is I feel like the voice of Mikey and Donatello should be switched. Donatello sounds super, super young, and Mikey sounds more like, if you listen to the trailer again, it seems like their voice actors need to switch roles, because like Mikey's voice doesn't suit him in terms of, like, I always saw him as being like the younger turtle, the more innocent sounding, and Donnie kind of has that voice now, so that part kind of like threw me off a little bit. I'm not okay, so we spoke about this off camera, so I'm gonna bring up the photo
elephant
here.
in the room.
Yeah.
I think I know which. Yeah. Okay. This was the one thing that made me go, what?
God, what is going on here, man? I am not digging it. Okay, so the good news is Jackie Chan is voicing Splinter.
Yes.
I love that. But the fro gots to go. That I'm not digging the fro at all. Like, this is just
why
weird.
does he have a fro?
I don't know. who made this decision, but yeah, this was the wrong move. This is totally the wrong. I'm hoping that this is just part of like it's like an isolated incident where like he had a bad hair day or something, and it's not like his actual finalized look.
Because this looks like a fro mullet.
Yeah, I'm not with this at all. Like, yeah, this is no. The other con, another small nitpick is, and Darcy mentioned Michael Bay, and it seems like what's his name? Who's the creator? Seth Rogen. It seems like he's taken some, like in terms of visually, in terms of the design, minus this design, it seems like he's taken some inspiration from Michael Bay, because the turtles kind of look very similar to the Michael Bay. Well, minus all like the extra stuff, but like Raph has the do-rag, Donatello has the glasses, and the thing is, like, I'm not really crazy about this whole the smart guy has to always wear glasses trope, like, and it doesn't make sense. It's like, you're a mutant turtle and yet you have bad eyesight. How does that work? I don't get it. But yeah, the whole glasses on the smart guy kind of played, in my opinion. But again, these are small gripes. Overall, I love the trailer. I love the animation style. Again, I like the fact that they feel like teenagers. They sound like teenagers. And my favorite part in the entire trailer is the ooze. I love that part. I replayed that part like so many times. I was dying of laughter from that. But yeah, it looks cool. It looks like it's a packed house because we're gonna have Bebop and Rocksteady, Baxter Stockman, and all these other people. So yeah, I'm excited for this. Looks cool.
Okay, so like just on that last point about like having a stacked house, like in terms of like characters, it's stacked. In terms of voice actors, this is even more stacked. Like so Tactics already said that that Splinter is being voiced by Jackie Chan. The hair does not make sense, but like at least Jackie Chan does kind of make sense. However, so Bebop and Rocksteady are voiced by respectively Seth Rogen for Bebop and John Cena for Rocksteady.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
gonna be good. I love John Cena. That's gonna be something.
Paul Rudd is going to play Mondo Gecko.
Fantastic.
And Giancarlo Esposito is going to play Baxter Stockman.
I mean, I think it's gonna be amazing to just have Giancarlo in here. Like, he's such a heavy voice, and they're just gonna have like John Cena, and it's just gonna be like it's just gonna be such a funny contrast when he's on screen.
Also, Maya Rudolph and Post Malone and Ice Cube are in this movie as well as voices.
Ice Cube? Wow.
Like, seriously, this is I'm repeating what Tactic says. This is a packed house. Because, like, the characters and also the voice actors they ain't playing. And, like, Seth Rogen, like, he's not the creator for this. He's just the producer. It's directed by Jeff Rowe, and it's screenplay by Brendan O'Brien. I don't know either of those people. I'm assuming this is their first big foray into something. But, like, yeah, I would just say I'm excited for this film. I'm also excited for an explanation for the afro. Like, I will. Okay, so Tactics, you were saying that your favorite part was like the ooze part. For me, it was when Donnie is freaking out and he's like, the sigh is still in my leg. That had me on the ground. I was laughing at that point. I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, I have a couple of thoughts related to this, though. Is that one, I do think that the fro, just by the way, I was just watching it on the side, based on the way the scene is and what he's wearing, it almost feels like like clothes you wear around the house kind of thing, and it just kind of makes me think of like old Asian parents, just like the pajamas that they're always wearing at the house, and I'm like, I won't be surprised if it's just like before he goes out that he has the afro. The other thing I also think about them is when we talk about how Tax is saying about the voice need to be switched between Michelangelo and Donnie. Was it Donnie?
Yeah.
He's
the
youngest on the voice. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of also think that there's like you remember the whole theory that people were going around, which makes 100% sense, that all of them were given a weapon that counters their like weakness, right? So Raphael is too like chaotic, so he has he uses size so that
Oh
way
yeah.
he's like has to control himself, kind of thing. Or no, that was like Michelangelo with
The nunchucks.
Nunchucks. Anyways, I also wonder if we're also going to see them because they're so young and I feel like they're like 14, that like, or 13, 14, that they're going to be like, that parts of their personality are going to come out because of the mission, because of the experience they're going to go through, that like each one of them will change a little bit, their tone of voice and what they have to go through. I kind of feel like that's coming because it's like they're so, in this trailer, a lot of what we saw, they're so fun and that's phenomenal. But I also kind of feel like, yeah, we weren't quite seeing like each of them kind of fully play the roles that we know, and I kind of feel like they're gonna come into those roles because it's like a bunch of kids just having a good time, and then they're thrust into realizing that some of this stuff is real, and then we're gonna see those parts of their personality come out as they realize what part of the team they have to play, instead of kind of being like four individuals having a good time together.
To be fair, we didn't see a lot of Leo, and I feel you're kind of right, Darcy, because like that may be like where Leo is like, guys, follow me, and like Raph is like, all right, cool.
Yeah, and like they won't at first because it's just like, well, why would we follow you? Like we're just like we all blah 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 blah, and like, but hopefully I have a good way of doing it that doesn't feel played.
Yeah, I can't believe how excited I am for this movie. Like given what I felt, and to be fair, this is kind of similar to what happened when I was watching the 2012 TV series. I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, this animation looks stupid. I'm not going to watch it. And then like I was forced to watch it by Jimmy, and like the next thing I know, like 5 minutes in, I'm like sold. And then like I watched that thing for like 4 seasons, like religiously every weekend, and I got tactics on it too. So like, yeah, like I will say, like I am super stoked for this movie. I cannot wait, and I actually like the design. Like they like it's kind of a little bit nostalgic because like as you can see in this picture, like they all like just like in the 80s 80s TV series, they have their bands that are with the color of their headbands.
You also notice that their I don't want to say skin tone because it's probably not skin that turtles have, but their colors are different. I just realized that right now. Like Michelangelo's like a darker green, Raph's the lighter green, and that goes back to like the 90s animated show that we used to watch. They weren't all the exact same color green. They were slightly different colors of green. Versus when we go all the way up to Michael Bay, where it's like, fuck, what are these things, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a small nuancy thing, but that's a proper throwback. They were not, because it was supposed to represent that they were different turtles, which is also why they were like shaped different and stronger or whatever. They're actually just not the exact same breed.
I also want to.
Sorry, go ahead.
Clarify. Yeah, I'm just going to clarify because like Maybot put it in the thing because she was saying like the animation for 2012 was so good. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying when I saw the trailer for the first time, like back in 2011, I wasn't the only one. We all thought that the animation looked stupid because the trailer wasn't exactly great. But then when we watched, like within 5 minutes, I got into the animation of watching the first episode of the 2012 thing. So like, just wanted to clarify that. T, what was your question, bro?
So, in terms of a live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, if we ever do see another live action iteration of the franchise, what direction would you want them to go? Let's just say, like, this aside, it does well, it does all 3 movies, a trilogy, and then they want to restart something fresh and exciting again. Would you ever want to see them kind of revisit the Jim Henson version and like do it in that kind of vein, or do something similar to what Michael Bay did with the CGI, but just obviously make the storyline better and the overall aesthetics better?
Me personally,
or if you have another idea.
Me personally, I think they should go down the route of like, okay, no CGI, basically. Because like this is me watching The Mandalorian recently, and like seeing how much I like actual interactive sort of things where it's like you're seeing a person in an outfit reacting to the person in the movie. And so I think that's better. Maybot pretty much said what I was going to say. So it's just like having that kind of an inclusivity. And so like that's kind of going back to what the 90s movie did. Just do that, because that works. The CGI didn't work, but that's just my opinion. How about you, Darce?
It's tough because when you start trying to live action and stuff, you get into this realm of like weirdness, right? You get some of the like problems that Disney has where they're trying to live action stuff that doesn't really like land very well. And I have this conflict when you ask this question, is because I love the 90s aesthetic and the prosthetic. However, I don't think we're in an era anymore where we could, like, I don't think it will sell if they're moving at the same speed that they used to move at. Because that whole, like, back in the day, Power Rangers type fighting where it's like, pa, pa, and everything's, like, very rigid. And we live in an era where, like, John Wick is, like, just picking guys up and letting cars pass through them, right? And everything's like very fast with fight choreography that like when you have a big prosthetic, like there's almost no way for them to fight fluidly and have a full turtle thing, or the turtle outfit looks so much like a human that you start being like, well, this is just Michael Bay. Like it doesn't look like Michael Bay's character, but it's like it's the Michael Bay type problem where it's like it doesn't feel at all like the real characters. Like I honestly think that they wanted to really do this, and like you say, okay, it has to be done. What's the way you would do it? I honestly think it's going to be CGI planned extremely well, and what I mean by that,
like Thanos.
No, this is gonna be like
more Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, but the way that you would have to do it that they didn't really do with this is you would have to essentially get the actors or the stunt people to wear a prosthetic, but it's not a full one, more like Iron Man when he's wearing like half of a suit or part of a suit. So you can do a lot of the stuff and then you apply CGI. But I kind of feel like that's going to like, it's going to be really expensive, like really, really expensive to do.
Turtles is always going to be expensive. If you try to cut corners on this, the movie will suffer.
Yeah, the only other way I really could see us doing it is you have to find an extremely hyper stylized way of doing live action that doesn't really feel like a real world, but it's with real people. But at that point, are you getting to the point where you might as well just come back to doing what we're doing right now, right? Doing something animated. It's just, it's hard to make that land. Like we can make them look good, but will they move well, right? And okay, we're gonna make them move well, but will it look good, or will it cost so much? That like it's, to get it done right, where everyone moves fast, it feels real. You're gonna have to make money because you're gonna have to basically have Avengers budgets, right?
Yeah.
To make this to work properly. I just kind of say I don't want us to go down that route. I think it's not going to hit the way we want it to hit.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, what were you going to say, T?
I was just going to say, I would be willing to see them take on the challenge of revisiting that style of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I went back and I watched the first live action movie, and I take it back to the example of the Raphael, when like Raphael is on the roof and he gets jumped by a bunch of the Foot Clan. That fight still holds up. Like, say what you will about like some of the other fight choreography within the movie, but that one is like, especially in terms of their move, like Donatello at one point at like near the end, he's doing a back handspring to a back flip, like, and it still looks fantastic for that time. So I'm thinking,
and also he's throwing down, like all of them were throwing down.
Yeah. So it still looked pretty solid given the fact that they were in those suits. And like, I'm watching some of those scenes like now, like as an adult, a full grown adult, and I'm like, wow, like the fight choreography was pretty on point for that time. And like now, obviously, yeah, I agree with you, Darcy. We have we have higher expectations because now we have things like John Wick coming out and the Raid and all that stuff. But imagine they take, whoever made that fight choreography. Like if you got the guys from the Raid, for example, and they redesign the costumes in a way that is somewhat realistic. They maybe sprinkle in a little bit of CGI into the mix, but also they get those Raid guys into it as well. I think that could look pretty solid.
Yeah, like kind of like going off Maybot's question where she's like, it looks good to us, but will Gen Z appreciate that kind of style? It's kind of like a blend, what you're talking about, T. Like you take the old in terms of like the prosthetics and also the mobility, and then you get like proper choreography that and nowadays we like the people in the business, they are trying to bring more realism to supernatural situations. I mean, for crying out loud, we saw Tony Stark fight. We saw Robert Downey Jr. fight Josh Brolin as Iron Man and Thanos, and like they were like all like decked out and like all this sort of stuff, and it looked dope.
Yeah, looked really, really good.
Yeah, so I think it can be done, but it's not something that is easily done. Like Darcy is saying, like it's going to cost a penny.
No, of course, 100%. But then I feel like it would also pave the way for some, and whether it does well or not is left to be determined. Because what Maybot's saying in terms of Gen Z, they might not be as receptive as us being like old fans of old properties, but like it would pave the way for stuff like Gargoyles, for example, which like we still have not gotten a live action movie for that, right? So I think going down that route again and revisiting that, but revamping it for this time would be pretty cool.
Oh my God. Honestly, I'm like, when I heard, I know that it's no longer true, but when I heard that Jordan Peele was writing a script for Gargoyles, I wanted to cry myself to sleep with just so much happiness. Like I was like, I would die happy watching.
Oh, I thought you were like
written by him.
I thought you were going to be disappointed. I was like, "What?"
No. I like in the sense that like I would like be so happy and cry myself to sleep. Like that. Like that's what it is. Yeah, because like, oh my God, would he do such a fantastic job?
And he's a fan. He's a fan of that kind of stuff. So
and
obviously, you want fans to be a part of the property, right?
That is a perfect segue for our next topic. So I'm going to do that and go. Moving on. So, in terms of conversations, we on the Geeky Bros podcast have discussed at length a certain issue that Netflix seems to be developing a reputation for. So recently, the Netflix show Wednesday came out earlier this year, late last year, and Jenna Ortega. Universally has been acclaimed. Like, say what you want about the show. Jenna Ortega has been said to be the best thing about the show. She recently went on record to say that she had an issue with Wednesday, and particularly having to do with the changes she felt she had to make her the show work. And it sounded very hauntingly familiar to another story we heard, which was Henry Cavill. So I'm gonna pass this to Darcy because I think you were the one who told us about it. Do you want to take it, bro, and talk about what she said and also how it relates to our previous conversations?
Yeah, there was a few things that she added comments on. One, and I still haven't seen the show, so forgive me if I'm incorrectly quoting any parts of I don't know what actually happened in the show, but some reference to a love triangle that she'd be involved in, which fundamentally doesn't make any sense considering her character is essentially asexual. So it was like, why would she be involved in a love triangle? Then there was, at least I think that was supposed to be in the show, but I think she tried to veto her way out of that. Then there was another reference towards how Tim Burton wanted her to be completely emotionless, but she thought that would, one, doesn't tell an interesting story if she has zero emotions, and she's a teenage girl, so she would have some emotions, obviously not significant in comparison to other characters. And then there was just some other things that I think from like a personality perspective, they wanted her to do some dialogue that was very typical teenager, but does not make sense to the character. And so again, it's like, it seems like another story of people trying to do what they think would be great without thinking about what the character is about and what people care about that character. And that just doesn't sound familiar at all. Witcher. So it's just it just seems to be this like stupid trend where they keep trying
and a Netflix trend. It sounds to be like more of a Netflix one.
I mean, yeah, and I feel like it's other places too. You know what I mean?
No, agree. But I would say like those are the ones, because like kind of like what Toxic was saying and what we've said in the past. You got to respect the source material and also stay true and be true to the characters. Like if you understand the character, you can make a story as a result of it.
Yeah, and people like coming into this, they know what they're looking for, and if all you're trying to do is like, oh, let me just write a story about a character for people who've never seen like the Addams Family, let's just make this for Gen Zers who didn't grow up with it. Okay, but then why do you need this IP then? Why do you need this name and this brand if you're going to try and make it something that's not what it was? So you're going to alienate all the people who love the property to make it for the small portion of people who've never seen it, have no idea, and you have to do more of a job to convince to check it out, right? Like,
yeah.
We will, well, I haven't, but we have more likelihood in checking it out considering we grew up with it and need less advertising to sell us than someone who's like, so it's an emotionless girl, and then it's like he's like, maybe that appeals to some teenage girl, maybe it doesn't appeal to them, but you have to convince them more than us to be like, oh, Wednesday, I know what that is. So
yeah, like so I will also admit that I haven't seen Wednesday yet. I'm not sure if I will, but T, you said you watched Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I didn't end up finishing it though.
Oh, okay. So like what are your thoughts based off all of this that's been coming out?
Well, first of all, I love Jenna Ortega. I think she's phenomenal. I remember first seeing her in the second season of You, and I think she did a fantastic job. And then ever since then, she's been showing up in a lot of different stuff. And as I believe Darcy said off air, she's now kind of paving the way, or not paving the way, but more so becoming kind of notoriously known for being like a horror queen, almost like similar to the vein of like Nev Campbell, Jennifer Love Hewitt, I guess, too. Yeah, sure. Yeah, her too. So I think I've seen her in a couple of interviews, and she seems to be she's very down to earth, but also knows what she wants and really invests in her characters that she's portraying. And to Darcy's point, what he was talking about in terms of the reference of being emotionless, I feel like that works pertaining to Wednesday's character if she's a background character. If you have all of the Addams Family members, and as was the case in like the old movies from the 90s, right? Yeah. Wednesday didn't really have emotion, but she was not a background character, but she was a supporting character. So that kind of worked, and because all the other characters kind of balanced that equation out, right? So
yeah, because like the main focus were her parents, and they were very emotional.
Yeah, very eccentric. Like all of them in a way were unique and very eccentric. And Wednesday, of course, had like no emotions, but that worked in the vein of the overall property because it balances everything else, like everything out, like I said. But when you have Wednesday being the main focal point of the storyline, you want to have that element of like a lack of emotion, but you don't want that to be the like overarching theme. You want there to be a little bit of a balance, because otherwise the masses that are tuning in to watch the show aren't really going to have anyone to connect with, or they're not going to be able to connect to the main character, right? That being Wednesday. So you need to have a little bit of you need to kind of allow people to come into Wednesday's world. So I like that she spoke up on that, because clearly it worked, because Wednesday is getting a second season from what I hear. So it must be doing pretty well. Like I enjoyed the show, but not enough for me to like stay invested. Like it's not a show that I would be like rushing to like go and watch again.
Right.
Because I have I have other stuff that I obviously need to catch up on because of Umar. But
Not
so that
because
I
of me,
put
because
that,
it's good, because you're supposed to.
well, yes. But no discredit to Wednesday. Like it actually is it's a pretty good show. Like I was into it, right? But it's just I just kind of fell off. But the other thing I like is that, and I don't know how far this conversation went in terms of like some of the issues that she had with the direction in which Wednesday was going, but I like when actors and directors come together in a collaborative way, as opposed to the director just being like, "This is my thing. Fuck all the other actors." You know what I mean? You do what I say. I like it when like they're like, because at the end of the day, you guys are all artists, right? The director's an artist, the actors are artists, the cameramen are artists, right? Obviously there's a hierarchy in terms of the artistry, but at the end of the day, it's all a collaborative effort, and it should feel as such, in the sense of like, yes, you have a leader, you have some sort of dictatorship, but at the end of the day, like there is some kind of collaboration happening. And so, if I was ever to direct something, I have like a general idea of how I want the storyline to go. But I also, for example, when we did Boost, right? Like, Umar, I consulted you in terms of like your character, and you came up with the whole backstory that we never even shot, because it was just like you got into the mind of, and I was like, I love it, right? Like, go with that. And so it became like a team effort that we ultimately all kind of had our hands in, right? So I like when actors and directors can come together like that, because it just makes the ship run smoother in that regard. And it just kind of shows Jenna Ortega's growth overall as an actress, and I think she's going to do phenomenally in her future endeavors. So I'm excited to see what else she does, and I actually want to see Scream 6 now. I hope they don't kill her off, because I think she'd be great Neve Campbell replacement in a way, kind of thing. So
I will not watch Scream, because me and horror.
Yeah, we all know.
But hold on. By the way, Tactics, you didn't consult with me one time on Magnum and Boost. I'm just saying, you didn't ask me nothing about my character, no backstory. I'm still waiting to understand what my backstory is to this day.
My bad, dog. My bad.
It's just big, black, strong dude. That's like I'm just teasing. Actually, but before we move, one more thing about Jenna Ortega I forgot to mention earlier is that actually she had very similar, going back to the whole parodies between her and Henry Cavill, had to actually insert herself in the changing and the writing of the actual show. So she changed lines, and I forget if it said, but she actually also went to the writers, but she was like, I think, changing lines and then performing them and then apologizing after the fact to the writers, like, yep, it was wrong, basically. And that, ironically, however, different than the story with Henry Cavill, she is now going to be the executive producer on the second season. So
really,
maybe Netflix is learning something from their whole experience with Henry Cavill and being like, this show's had a little bit more like popular. It's been more popular, like TikTok everywhere. And they're like, let's just put more into this queen and see what happens. Versus whatnot. So hopefully she has enough power to be like, that ain't how this is gonna go down this season. Like this.
No, absolutely,
This you can't treat this character this way. So
and also,
now, right? So she has more power to do that.
Yeah, and also it's like the proof is shown in the fact that she's now, I think the rumors are that she's been cast in the Beetlejuice 2 film. So like, she like you guys are saying, she's definitely rising.
They're making a Beetlejuice 2? Whoa. Wait a minute. Tell me my man Michael Keaton is coming back.
I don't know. I think so. I think it was said that he was, but I that's like, at this point,
he's coming. If he came back as Batman, there's no way he's not coming back as Beetlejuice.
No, I really, really hope he does, because it would be hilarious. Because if she plays the daughter of Winona Ryder's character,
100%, I can see that 100%.
Darcy, are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. Like IMDb doesn't have anything listed on cast right now, but when I Google Beetlejuice 2, Google comes back with the results of but I mean I feel like this is from the first movie. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, Winona Ryder, Greena Davis, Johnny Depp, and I mean I think that's just the first movie. Like I don't think
Yeah.
it's all.
So like IGN is saying that Beetlejuice 2 is in the works with Michael Keaton returning and Jenna Ortega in talks of starring alongside.
Man, my word. Like I want to just see how much further Michael Keaton's character is going to be now that he's like aged. Like, is Beetlejuice just going to be like an older, more disgusting Beetlejuice? And just have him like have that fun, you know, being like really outlandish and even more makeup. Like this could be really fun. This could be really fun.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next topic. So this topic was going to be like we all were ready for this topic for a while now, especially after we on the Geeky Bros podcast have definitely talked about it at length. So as we all know, this time last year, the Oscars happened and we all are all close to this time. And Will Smith unfortunately made a spectacle of himself and did the slap that was heard around the world and basically slapped Chris Rock on stage. Yeah, there he goes. His ooh, it's still so fast. Anyway, so
it's like he leaned into it too.
Yeah, I think he thought. I think he thought he was. I think he thought he was going to joke around with him, but like then he's like, "What? What the hell?" Anyway, so this past week, Chris Rock has responded. And he has a Netflix special where he does a stand-up comedy routine. And for the most part, I think for like the entirety of the show, everyone was like, wait, is he going to say anything about it? And in the last like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was, basically the last segment of his show, he ripped into Will Smith. And I should say not just Will Smith. He ripped into Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. I have my thoughts on this, but I think I'm going to save mine to last. So I kind of want to hear what my bros have to say about this. So T, let's start with you. What were your thoughts on Chris Rock's response to the slap?
So I'm glad that he got to finally vent out his frustration, and you could tell from like leading up to that final moment, the final couple minutes of him talking about the incident that happened at the Oscars. He was definitely unleashing some outrage for sure. He had a little flub midway through that segment, but he covered it nicely. But yeah, like I said, I'm glad that he was able to finally vent out his frustration, get it all out. Because imagine having to, I mean, that was like a year ago, right? Like almost exactly a year ago, and obviously he's probably been talking about it amongst his close peers, but he's been holding it in from the public, you know, and refusing to say anything, refusing to respond to Will in any capacity, and then finally getting a platform to just capitalize on this, because he knew that if he had just held out, he's going to be making some bank from this special. For that alone, because I let's face it, we were all waiting for that moment at the end where he's talking about this situation. So yeah, glad he got his frustration out. He went for the jugular for sure when it came to Will and Jada. It was tamer than I thought it was going to be, though. I thought he was going to go in a little bit more. So I was a little bit surprised, given like what Chris Rock's like past specials. The overall special to me, and I don't know if it was just from my standpoint, I was anticipating just that last little bit. I just found it wasn't his best. Like, he's had funnier specials to me, to be honest. so yeah, I didn't laugh quite as much as I wanted to, and again, maybe it was just because I was in anticipation of like yo, just get to the Will Smith. I don't care about Meghan Markle. I don't care about this other shit. Let's get to the Will stuff. And yeah, I found it to be tamer than I expected. I mean, he still went in, but I just thought like, you know, when you're harboring a year's worth of like physical and emotional pain, because that was some embarrassing shit to get, not even just get punched. Like, I think it'd have been better if he could have gotten punched. He got slapped. Like, that's the most disrespectful thing you could ever do to a man. Like, slap a man, and then, well, spit in someone's face, and then slap is a close second. So, yeah, I thought he was really gonna, yeah, yeah. that's the you gotta get shot after that. Like, that's the ultimate. But yeah, I thought he kind of pulled his punches a little bit, to be honest, if I'm being completely honest. But again, I hope after this, I did not mean that to be a pun at all. When you're on a roll, you're on a roll, you know. But yeah, so I just hope that after all of this, we can kind of put this to bed and finally move on from this. And whether they let bygones be bygones and they make up and they kind of reconcile their issues, it is what it is, right? But at the end of the day, I think, again, we've said this before, like when the incident first happened, you know, Will made a mistake. We're not saints. We all have skeletons in our closets. We all do dumb shit from time to time. Maybe not quite as dumb as this, but you know, we all have our own faults, right? And I don't think that Will should be condemned forever for this mistake. It was a huge fuck up on his part. I'm sure he's very apologetic. He's done some questionable things that I feel like, okay, yo, bro, like you got to pull it back a little bit, you know. But that aside, I think he should be forgiven. You know, you don't have to forget the incident, like, you know, forgive, but don't forget.
No one's forgetting this.
No, definitely not. This is in the books for life. Like, you know, I mean, look at the whole Chris Brown situation. People are still talking about that with the Rihanna and Chris Brown thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say that like a significantly different slapping situations, but like, yeah.
Well, there's more to that story, but I'm not gonna get into that on. That's for a later podcast. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, I personally just think that, you know, people just need to kind of like just chill, you know, like it's Will Smith, man. I mean, yeah, we look at him a little bit different now, but at the same time, it's like, again, we've all done dumb shit before, so you know, I think we should just all just move on and, you know, let it go. Let it go.
Darce?
Many thoughts. One, I'll say this out of the gate. It doesn't quite sit right with me that he waited so long to bank on this, like financially. Like,
okay.
I feel like a year later, like you waited for the anniversary so you could drop a special so that you could bank on it, versus like if you wanted to say something publicly, say something within a reasonable period of time. And what I mean by that, like, I'm not trying to be all specific, like, okay, he had 45 days to drop his statement, and after 90 days he had to pay interest. No, it's more like I feel like you take time to reflect, and then you realize, okay, I want to say something, and then you find some way. And I'm not having a problem with it being comedy. That's how he speaks to the world. That's how he should have done it, right? I just kind of feel like it's too much like it's a PR move. You know, his team put this together, right? It's like, get this thing done, release it on this date, bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, I just want to be done with this. I don't want to keep talking about this. Yeah, it's like, you know, we feel different about Will, but like, I just want to move on. And yeah, it's just, it doesn't quite sit right with me. You just time this thing so much. But overall, what he actually said, I don't really disagree with it either. So, like his points are they're valid. In the ways that he said them and dropped his comedy about it. But yeah, like I can't lie. Some of those things he said, I've thought those thoughts. So yeah, it happened. It was decently funny. The flub was unfortunate, and I don't know. I just want to move on. And I will say, to this day, I don't trust Jada. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't trust Jada, and I'm with him on that side of things. Like, especially watching this clip here in review, it's like he like ha ha ha. She like sick him. Like that's what that whole thing look like right now. So I'm just like, no, I don't trust her. No, I do not trust her. So moving on before I start going into like my feelings.
All right, I may actually go on.
She's in the background too. Yeah, Lupita Luongo. Poor her, man. I feel so bad for her. She was like in the middle of all of that.
That was an awkward spot. Awkward spot.
Oh yeah. I feel like she wanted to be Homer Simpson in that moment, just like give me a bush so I can walk backwards through it.
I felt like she was like Christina Aguilera, better switch me chairs kind of thing, man. Like
she looking at a light skinned girl in the background, like can we just morph? You said you want to be closer to Will, right? You want to be closer to Will. Like, let's do that right now. She's like, damn, I wish Thanos got me in the snap right now. Oh Lord.
So for me, I may trigger you, Darcy. So like this may become a topic. For me, I would say that I was a little surprised with how much Chris Rock didn't like rip into Will Smith. I expected it to be much worse. So I was pleasantly surprised that it was somewhat held back. The thing that I was surprised about the most is he spent a lot of time going after Jada. And my issues with Chris Rock on this front is that, like, okay, so he should, like, I agree, Will Smith should not have slapped him, but he did get slapped for like making fun of someone's disease, and it just so happened to be Will Smith's wife's disease. And like, say what you want, like I will say that the way that Chris Rock was going after Jada was very much like he was 100% believing that she told Will to go slap him, and so he's like making fun of her as a result of it. But like I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is what we saw is that she was not a fan of his joke about her hair, and we've talked about the fact that like Chris Rock, of all people, who made a movie about like women's hair, African American women's hair, should know better than to make fun of that. And then he spent almost, I would say about 40-60 making fun of Jada and going after her as well. And I'm just like, I found that to be such an odd choice.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Omar, you triggering me out here already, bro.
I know.
So number one, making fun of the hair thing, okay, whatever. In this special,
but it's not
this special, bro. He's making fun of her character, okay, not her hair, her character, and that's where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm with you on that.
But like, I'm fully admitting that I do not know the full facts of their interactions or anything like that. It just feels oddly misogynistic on his part, when he had a lot of other things to focus on that are legitimately upset about. But again, I don't know the full history. For all we know, or for all I know, he is very aware that Jada did tell Will to go slap him, and so his response makes more sense. But at the same time, all I'm saying is I was surprised at how focused he was on Jada in comparison to Will. But I think ultimately I don't care about it that much. I'm just like, okay, I feel that he's got, like, I think so. He even said that now that he's gotten it all out, he's okay to put it to bed. I think Will Smith responded to just like, get over it. I'm kind of hoping that, yes, it is now officially over, and all of us can move on, just like the both of you are saying. Like I'm in agreement with that. I feel this topic doesn't need to be brought up any further.
I just want to say, so regarding the special, I'm definitely with Darcy in terms of like what he said. I don't think was out of pocket because, for example, he said in part of the special, he said he mentions that Jada slept with her son's best friend or something like that.
Yeah.
And Chris basically said, normally I wouldn't talk about that, but these jokers went online on a public forum and basically dished out their dirty laundry. And
oh yeah,
she basically admitted that, yeah, like I wanted to feel good, so I slept with dude. You know what I mean? Basically admitting that she cheated on Will, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So then he was saying that, Jada hurt Will more than Will hurt him. You know what I mean? So like, again, it was like it just kind of highlights how poisonous Jada is. And yes, of course, from the outside looking in, we don't know the full story or the dynamic between their marriage and whatnot. But we've heard a lot of things that are now starting to resurface or trying to come to the surface, and there's a huge correlation with what we were hearing in terms of rumors to what's actually now being presented as fact, and it's not looking good. You know what I mean? Jada is painted in the worst possible light, and it seems like Will is just kind of folding over on that and just being like, well, that's my wife. Regardless, thick and thin, I'm going to stick by her, even if she's out here doing dirty and sleeping with like everyone in the neighborhood kind of thing, like
it's like just the reason why I was feeling that it was somewhat it felt misogynistic to me was the fact that like he was like when he was saying that everyone was calling like ever since that interview was released, everyone and his mother was calling Will a bitch, and like he said that like over and over, but then he said that Jada was a bitch, which was where I kind of was like.
So I don't think that was intentional because that he said that right after the flub, and I think that it kind of like after that he
okay.
So I don't think
maybe
I think he was I think because I do it sometimes too. Like sometimes you just need like a swear word because if you're caught in between words and you're like I don't know what to say, fuck, and then you just say it as like kind of like an asterisk almost, right? So I think in that context he just kind of like blurted it out. I don't think he was intentionally trying to call her a bitch. It just kind of was fitting in the moment.
Well, also keep in mind that Chris Rock also, not a lot of people realize this, actually has Asperger's, and so he also has like you did not know that.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, so
I didn't know that either. Actually,
I think in the way that like when he had the thing completely scripted in his brain, and then when he interjected two variables, being like this concept of like it was
emancipation.
And concussion.
Yeah, emancipation with the other film. He realized what, and it was just kind of like he's like trying to rewrite the script live, and that's just not a place that he wants to be in, right? It's not a comfortable place for him. So I totally see that. I didn't watch the special, but if the whole special is him bagging on men's wives, then I'm like, this guy's being misogynistic. But him bagging on Jada, no, this feels all within the realm of the context of a situation that affected him and the individuals that have a part and hand in the responsibility of that situation that affected him. And yes, he has a part and hand in it too. But I wouldn't just say because he wanted to make fun of his wife, who clearly is a part of this problem, that makes him misogynistic.
Wait, y'all didn't watch the special?
No, I don't.
I skipped ahead.
I'm here thinking that you guys are like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So we're talking. Like, wait, what? I'm the only one who watched this shit.
Homie, if it ain't Dave Chappelle, I ain't watching that all the way through anymore. I cannot sit through entire comedy specials anymore because I find that they don't hit the way that they used to, and I'm going back to Delirious. Okay. If it ain't like the only two people I've been able to watch a full one through and not get bored is Dave Chappelle and Trevor Noah, because they're the only two to me that feel like it's just a really interesting conversation that I happen to laugh at. Whereas I go back to Delirious, where it's just like one after another, like, yo, bring me the stretcher.
That's like comparing The Dark Knight to every other movie out there, man.
That's how I feel, bro.
Like the Delirious and Raw are like a category on its own. Like I don't know, it doesn't hold up to like, I mean, it holds up to every other comedy special out there, but you know, it's still top dog.
Yeah. I'm just looking at a bunch of comments that Maybot is saying. Like, so she's saying that hair is important to women, if not societally, then culturally. She's also talking about she also wants things to move on, and also she pointed out the fact that didn't Will Smith and Jada have an open relationship. To be honest, I'm not sure about that anymore.
Oh, no, they did. They said it. That yeah. But that feels like a forced open relationship. She also made comments about how Will's like past ex-wife's relationship kind of forced her into it, I think because it got pregnant or whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I grew up being a huge Will Smith fan, and I've learned as an adult, man, you don't idolize people.
Yeah,
because there's a lot mess out there. I just feel like when they came out and did that special, and she like, we have an open relationship, that felt like this guy being like, let me lead with a statement that makes this whole thing that's about to go down not seem so bad. Yeah. So I have an open relationship with my wife. Yeah, because really what happened was she got tired of me. She started sleeping with dudes. So then I went and slept with other people because I didn't have a choice and I didn't want to break up. That's what this feels like to me.
The excuse that he said, I remember, was something to the effect of, yeah, when I said open relationship, what I meant was like we're open with each other in terms of like everything that we share. And I was like, nigga, you lying your ass off, man. That's not what you meant. Shut up.
No one refers to an open relationship like that. Like,
yeah, I was like,
if any one of us, went to our partners or like, yo, I want to have an open relationship, thinking about the emotional thing, we all gonna get slapped.
Bro, I would not be here in the next episode. I would be dead.
Yeah, and it would be a misunderstanding because no one phrased it that way. It's like I want to have a better communication with you. That's what you say. You do not say you want to have an open relationship.
Yeah, no. If I just said the same thing, I'll look like what happens in the end of this week's episode of Last of Us. And Tex, you'll know what I mean by the end of this week. Yeah, you have the visual now. Yeah, 100%. No, you know, I shouldn't ask this question right now, but I'm going to ask this question right now. Did anybody else during the years when we knew that this open thing was being rumored and all that kind of stuff, and we were thinking things were rocky and whatnot, and then we watched the interview and Jada said what she said, and you're like, oh my God. Did any of y'all think, man, I hope him and Margot got together during those couple of films during that period of time?
Him and Margot, is it Eva Mendes? Like I wanted him to smash her. Like just everyone.
Hitch? Oh yeah, Hitch.
100%.
I still watch that film. That's one of my favorite all-time films.
Facts.
I'm not gonna lie.
I love you, bro.
This never crossed my mind, but like, good for you guys. Like bond.
He's like, this is Umar saying, moving on.
But no, I also really enjoyed Hitch. I've never been a big fan of Eva Mendes, but maybe I just haven't seen the right films.
Well, acting or looks?
Both.
What? Nani?
Wow, I've made you speechless, T.
I mean, acting, I could give you a pass on that, but looks, bro?
Only half a pass, too.
It's like,
wow, okay. And you're dating... I'm sorry. I meant to say I'm dating myself.
Yeah. Yo, Umar, all I gotta say to this,
Sorry, inside joke is killing us right now. Go on, Darcy.
Absolutely. All I gotta say to this is how many women in this world? How many women? And ladies in the comments, feel free to go hard here. How many women in this world love Ryan Gosling? How many women?
Everyone loves Ryan Gosling.
And who did he choose? That man has a plethora of options. Who did he choose? She has to be beautiful. Absolutely.
Not necessarily. He could just have really bad taste, or just have some issues.
Bro, it's Ryan Gosling.
I'm just saying, she not my type.
Like even I'll say that's a handsome ass man, and he
agreed. No, agreed. Hey, hold up. There are people who have a very attractive celebrities who've gone for very normal looking individuals, and everyone's like, "Yo, how did she or how did he get up?" And
name 3.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. I don't remember what Okay, next.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay,
this is going to take a while. So, let's move it on to our next topic. We'll talk about this later because you both are triggered by this, and things can be said. Anyway, so
I just don't know where your taste lies. In terms of your preference, I don't get it. I thought I knew you, but
I have one choice, one style, and let's say that that's all I need. But
that's why it's mind-boggling right now. I just I don't get it. It doesn't make. You're blowing my mind right now. I don't understand you, bro. But yeah, let's move the fuck on, because wow,
she is Cuban. I'll point that out.
Oh, who are we talking about?
Moving on. Okay, moving on. Anyway, we have all watched the movie Creed 3 in theaters now. And so we are going to do our full review of Creed 3. I think I was the first one to watch this. I think Darcy was next, and then Tactics, you were last. So I'm going to go in reverse order. So T, what did you think of Creed 3, having watched it the most recent?
Okay, so I have quite a bit to say, but I've prepared some notes because I wanted to make sure that I hit on every single point. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. And just off the top, first I want to say, before I get into the cons, and then I'll go cons and then I'll go pros. I am super proud as a Black man to see Black excellence on screen that was represented in this film. I feel like a proud brother watching Michael B. Jordan do his thing in his first directorial debut. He did a lot of great things, a lot of risky things in this movie, and a lot of it landed. So yeah, just to kind of see him in a new element and do his thing, phenomenal job. Yeah, so I'll just kind of get into the cons in terms of what didn't quite work for me.
Land for you?
Yeah. So okay. So my first, and again, these are kind of small nitpicks. Overall, I like I said, I really did enjoy this film. But
before you give the nitpicks, what would you give the film out of 10?
I'll give it a 7 for me. 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not my favorite Creed, but it is still really, really good, in my opinion.
Okay.
In terms of the cons, watching the trailer, it made it it seemed like Damon was more menacing than he actually ended up being in the film, in my opinion. I was kind of expecting him to kind of like, there's like a scene where he says in the trailer and obviously in the movie as well, but he says like, and this is a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet. So fair warning, if you haven't watched it, maybe mute your mic for a moment. But he says in the trailer anyway that I'm coming for everything. And it kind of alluded to him like after he like, you know, wins that fight and he becomes the man on top, that he was going to it kind of alluded to the fact that he was going to attempt to interfere with Michael B. Jordan's relationship with Bianca. He was going to like kind of dismantle what Adonis had built as the name Creed, but we never really got that. It was kind of just like he won that fight, he talked a little bit of shit, and then they set up this fight. Like he picked a fight, or he basically taunted Adonis into taking a title fight, and then they fight at the end, and then yeah, the outcome, right? So I felt like there was an opportunity for him to be a little bit more menacing, similar to that of Clubber Lang from Rocky 3 with Mr. T, where like he was there to like really mess things up and like mess with Rocky a little bit. And I know that the dynamic between Adonis and Damien, like they're obviously friends, but there was a lot of bad blood there that was obviously established, and I felt like I just wanted a little bit more in that regard. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you know me, I'm a sucker for good training montages, and I wasn't super impressed with this montage. If I'm being 100% honest, I felt like the montage was a little bit rushed. And yeah, it just out of all of the montages that I remember from the Rocky saga, this was probably like my least favorite, because I remember the first one especially was really good, because that was at the point when like, you know, Rocky was sick, and then you have the montage of him like, you know, chasing the chicken, skipping in the hospital while Rocky's recovering. In the second one, Rocky takes him to like some deserted desert or something like that, and like he's just training his ass off, and like, you know,
that didn't make sense. Like he was like, let me beat the shit out of you so you can handle being beaten up. And I was like,
no, that made a lot of sense. It built mental and physical vigor. Like I was on board with that 100%. Like
I feel there would be a lot of like physical trauma from a lot of the training that would be done.
No, man, that's how you do it, bro. You build up that resilience mentally and physically, like that, and that's what I loved about those montages. This one, it felt a little bit rushed. I wanted to see a little bit more cuts of them training and really going through the ringer, and it kind of lacked in that regard.
I would say it felt like it was forced in there last minute.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I felt like, yeah, it was like, you know, okay, every Rocky movie needs a montage, but like we kind of blew our budget on all the other stuff. So let's just kind of, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what it felt like. Yeah. This isn't really a con, but it's something that I noticed. It didn't ruin the movie for me, but it's worth noting. Rocky's lack of presence definitely was felt in this movie. Not to say that Rocky needed to be there, because in the second movie he had a really beautiful send off, and I feel like his story has kind of come to an end. But just given the circumstances of what happened in Creed, and I don't want to ruin it, but something very emotionally tragic happens in the film. There's a loss, a very poignant loss, and considering that Rocky is connected to this person, I just felt like a call, or, you know, like some sort of like brief meeting,
or
and like some words of, some sort of mention, and it felt like it was just kind of pushed to the side, and I felt it in that moment, and I was just like, I felt like Rocky really should have been there in that moment. But I know that there's been some issues off screen regarding Sylvester Stallone and whatnot, so that obviously couldn't happen. But yeah, Rocky's presence was definitely felt. The final fight was beautifully shot. I love the creative vision that he took with that. It was very this is where I meant what I meant by it was risky, but in a good way. But I can understand how some people might be divided by his creative choice to add that whole void sequence. That kind of took me out for a minute, but then I'm like, oh, okay, I actually really dig this. This is really interesting, and like I get what he's going for. So that was great. But I felt like that final fight was also rushed. I felt like it should have been fleshed out a little bit more. And in a lot of these Rocky movies, there's like in the final fight, there's like a moment of like you don't know if the hero is gonna make it out of this, or like there's like, you keep you at the edge of your seat, and I never really got that. And I'm wondering if it was more so they wanted to focus less on that element of a fight and more so the struggle between them in terms of like this is my boy and we have a lot of bad blood here and it's like do or die type of thing. And like I can understand it from that perspective, but I felt like it was kind of it didn't know where it wanted to land. It didn't. I don't know if it seemed like it didn't know if it wanted to land in the realm of like, oh, like I don't want it to be like the edge of your seat excitement where it's like, oh, this is a dire situation. It's more of like two brothers going at it and the struggle that they have to face with that. But I felt like they never really leaned in on either side of the spectrum, and it was like they stayed right in the middle, and it felt kind of flat to me and a little bit rushed. So that for me is that. And then yeah, so then the pros real quickly. Dame was a great villain. I actually liked him as a villain more so than I did in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I felt like you just see the dynamic range that this dude has. Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor. I think he's going to be up there as like one of my top 5 favorite actors.
I'm gonna throw up Maybot's comment over where she's like, Jonathan Majors is excellence incarnate. I cannot agree more with that.
100%. He did such a phenomenal job. He was such an interesting character, so much to the point where I wanted more for like not from him because he gave it all, like he left it all on the table. And I've been watching a lot of like the interviews of him talking about like where he was pulling from, and he was talking about his stepdad and all of that stuff. And it's a really beautiful story. So definitely recommend you guys check it out. But yeah, I thought his character was great. The dynamic between Tessa and Jordan is phenomenal. I love their dynamic.
Feels real.
It feels real, and you can tell that there's real love on and off camera, which translates really well. So I really loved that. The daughter is cute, adorable. I love her. Seems like they're setting her up for a possible like
Creedverse.
Yeah, Creedverse, like kind of like a spinoff. So yeah, I love
the fact that they go full ESL.
Yeah. I love that too. Like, and it just shows the level of commitment that everyone embarks upon in terms of making this film, where it's like they actually learned ASL for this because the actress that plays Amara is actually deaf in real life. So I loved that element. And it adds a layer. And I feel like it'd be interesting to see her like in a future Creed movie as like a deaf female fighter, because that in itself is going to have a lot of like layers to really explore in depth. So I'd be excited to see something like that. Last 2 points, Drago and Creed becoming frenemies. I loved that, man. I'm like, yes, this is cool. This is real cool, man. I loved seeing him show up again, and the fact that they're frenemies, because it was like, you know, they're still talking shit. It's like, yeah, you know, like I'm cool, I'm gonna help you out, but you know, I'm not gonna pull my punches because like you beat me. So I'm gonna show you what's up, right? You know, you're not the best, kind of thing. So I felt that dynamic, and I would really love to see that explored a little bit more as well. But I loved seeing him show up again. And then this is kind of like a off, like out of the film kind of positive critique. I just love the chemistry that Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors has established. Like. I like if you see my algorithm on YouTube, it's nothing but them doing interviews together, and I just love their dynamic and like the whole story of them like meeting for the first time, and then Jonathan Majors after that meeting, he's like, "Yo, man, let's become friends," and it's not on some Hollywood bullshit where it's like, "Yo, let's be friends and like let's keep it." Like I believe that they're like if Jonathan had a party and he'd call up Michael and be like, "Yo, I'm having a thing tonight. You free? Yeah, sure, let's do it." And like I just love seeing that bond, you know what I mean? And like it kind of reminds me of like the bond that we've like us three, well, the whole group has kind of established. But I like how they've cemented their friendship, and it really like obviously doesn't show on in a way it shows on camera, but you know, they're rivals, so like, you know, it can't be that fleshed out, but you could tell there's some real chemistry there, and I would love to see them do some more movies together outside of the Creed film. But yeah, that's my overall review of it. I love the film. I highly recommend it. Again, it's not my favorite of the Creed franchise, but still a very, very solid film. And yeah, I would definitely watch it again.
Yeah. Before we go to Darcy, I have to repeat what Maybot put in her last comment, where she's like, "Did y'all see the clip where the both of them were checking out the interviewer's booty as she walked away?"
Oh yeah. I saw that.
I love that they both were just like,
yeah.
And you're like,
yeah. I love how Michael had like a little bit more just like side eye, and Jonathan Major just like whole head turn. He just like head on a swivel, like. Yeah, that was good. That was a good moment. Yeah, I've actually seen a bunch of interviews of them just talking about being like real bros and also not being afraid of showing their affection, which is
I love that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was another key element for me, because this movie, Creed, like the other Creed films, kind of express this as well, but this movie, it really shows vulnerability. And I like what Jonathan Major said in one of his interviews, where like he was getting some flack from like a magazine cover that he did, where I guess he was posing in like something like some outfit that looked like highly feminine or whatever, and like a lot of like, you know, a lot of the brothers weren't too keen on that look or whatever, and they said it's very emasculating or whatever. And Jonathan was all like, yo, like, he was asked about it, and he basically said, he's like, well, you know, they can say what they want, but like, all I know is like, I wouldn't want to walk up on me out in the street, you know what I mean? Like, I know who I am. I know that I'm manly, and like part of like masculinity is showing strength, but also vulnerability, not weakness, but vulnerability, because vulnerability in and of itself, when expressed, shows strength. And you clearly see this expressed in this movie, where like, you know, there's a moment where, you know, they're both crying, you know what I mean? And they're big, strong, burly motherfuckers, but they're like showing real emotion, real pain, real trauma. Michael B. Jordan struggling to talk about, you know, his past and like the weight that, or the burden that he's been carrying all this time. And I think that's so powerful, and not enough men, especially Black men, do this enough, where they're emoting and they're sharing their feelings and expressing them in healthy ways, right? And so I think
positive masculinity.
This is a good representation of positive masculinity, and I think it's a great staple, or a great statement that men should, you know, take heed in, and realize that, you know, like, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. So yeah, I love the representation in that 100%.
Darce?
All right, let's do this rapid fire lightning round. No, okay, I'll go through this one. Number one, rating out the gate, 8.5. I've really been debating if this is an 8 or a 9 for me. I'm landing on an 8.5. So I will go with my cons first. They're short listed, and they're very much similar to Taxis over here. So we have, yes, the montage scene felt edited short. I don't think it was like film short. I just think that they edited it short. I honestly think this was actually closer to a 3-hour film, in my opinion. That we got a 2.5 hour film, and I would totally understand. One, they want to keep certain number of bums in the seat, and two, they're going like, Michael, you know, it's your first film. We can't take the risk of a 3-hour film. Blah 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 blah. So I feel like there was some stuff that we didn't get in this film that I really want to see a director's cut of this, because I think that it could take it from that 8.5 to that 9.5 for me. I feel like it's in there. The second thing, I felt that like I wanted more of Jonathan Major's character without the presence of Michael B. Jordan's character.
Agreed.
So just to see a bit more of the menacingness or the struggle he's going through. I definitely felt like, like when we got to the whole beach scene and he was like, like, you know, his ego was all big. I was like, we got there a little fast. Like, I didn't really get a lot of like preface to how his ego flipped. Like, it just felt typical that his ego flipped like that, versus I feel like I need a little bit more for it to not feel cliche. Not that I didn't believe it, because I kind of knew that was coming, but I kind of just wanted, because we'd hinted a lot at how much he was talking about what he wanted and where he wanted to be. So it was there and it was believable, but I feel like I just needed like an extra scene somewhere with him interacting. Like, you know what would have actually done really, really well is I think I forget the name, but the Michael B. Jordan's old trainer / partner in the gym. I feel like we should have saw scenes between Duke and Michael B. Jordan's character that had nothing to do with Michael, right? So that way we had just a little bit seeing more of his dynamic and his toxicity, and that way, you know, you'd feel more like the next time Adonis comes back in with the three of them, you have more tension that you're feeling about like what's going to happen here, because you've seen some off-screen stuff, right? Or away from the main character stuff, so to speak. And so that to me, I think would have just made it a little bit stronger. However, when I say that, I loved I love the scene where Adonis is talking to Duke, and then what's Jonathan Major's character's name again? I forget. Damien or Damien?
I think it was Damien.
Damon.
Yeah, so when Damien like walks by and something like, yeah, keep that energy or whatever he said, like he just was walking by briskly, and he was just like something like, oh yeah, he's like, oh, don't stop because I'm here or something like that, and he just walks by him as he's talking about him. Oh
yeah, it's like something like, he's like, don't stay quiet now, Dookie.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he's just walking by, and I was like, wow, that shows a lot about Damien. Wow.
It's Damien. So Damien, Diamond, Dame, Anderson.
Yeah. So manager Triple D, got it. So those are my cons. Okay. Pros are all over the place with this film. Okay. First off, all the anime stuff, absolutely loved it, smashed it. The DBZ punch, absolutely fantastic. Great way to come out of that void scene that T was talking about. I loved a lot of the Naruto Sasuke kind of references. Also, very specifically calling this one out. I love when Adonis is sitting down with his wife and she's like saying, "Do what you gotta do," and he says to her, there's only one way he'll understand. That reminded me so much of Naruto when we got to that fight, when we got to that void scene, that it was so much of Naruto and Sasuke only understanding each other and communicating on a subconscious level in their fights and not being able to communicate any other way. Now that you put the mother up on the screen,
I'm glad someone said it.
That scene, so we got into it and we're like, when I heard like, oh, it's your mother, you got to come quick. At that first moment, I honestly was like I just knew it was coming, and I'm like, oh, it's a cliche moment, you know, we knew it was coming, but it felt cliche. But then we got to that scene, and then she's like,
it was not cliche.
And then she got to talking to her late husband, saying, why did you leave me? I felt so alone, but your son saved me. And he's watching this, and I was like, oh, I was just like, wipe him. Oh,
I was a heavy breathing. I was like,
oh, that was something. That was phenomenal. That for me was like that moment there. That had like the same strength as like Angela Bassett in Wakanda Forever. Like it was just like it was just strong. It was just a strong scene. Okay,
Felicia Rashad has not missed a step in her career.
100%. But yeah, phenomenal scene, phenomenally well written there. Fantastic. On a similar note, other things that really hit a chord with me, obviously every dynamic between the husband and wife, but the one other thing that was making me tear up in many of the scenes, certainly wasn't the image you have on screen right now, is the dynamic between the father and daughter. That hit me in some ways I wasn't ready for. Like I was there, and when she was like, oh, like let it be our secret, and the end scene where he was standing in the ring and he was like, you know, he played with his daughter and his wife after winning, and then he's like looking up and he's like, yes, I'm done with this. But everything with her, that hit me on a personal level, like just something I was feeling about how like I want to see myself, and I was like, man, like I really want a daughter. Damn, like it's really just hitting me in a specific personal way, and I was just like, I'm so proud of him for showing that. You know, there was just something about like showing that dynamic of the father and daughter. I was like, thank you for that. Like that was real personal. So that had me tearing in many ways watching that. And I got a couple other points. I'm gonna go weakest to strongest on my 2 points. So the I loved, even though the montage felt short, I was completely enthralled with the music came on. I'm like, yo, they're sampling the Watcher from Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And then I was like, who's this rapping? Because his tone of voice was like in a more talkative voice. And then it switched. I'm like, that was J. Cole. Oh, and then just the bars. And it was just. He had like lines like he's like I'm like two things at once, like a double entendre. And I'm like, you just made a double entendre out of the word double entendre. Like, okay, phenomenal. J. Cole don't miss and perfectly well timed. Yo, respect there. But one of the best scenes in this movie, and people in the audience were just like, whoa, like when. In the beginning, before Dame's fight, when Adonis comes to the locker room to talk to him, and then he goes to leave, and we get that blue light, yellow light, and they look at each other through the wall. Woo! That was phenomenal. That cinematography, great. That choice, wow. Thank you. Like that's what I'm talking about using an environment and holding a fucking shot. Holding that to let people feel something. No cuts, no edits. Yeah, worth it. Amazing. Those are my thoughts.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here. So I'll say overall, I gave the movie an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoy. Kind of like what Maybot was saying, like I was seeing like anime references and anime posters because like they were showing that Adonis, even as a kid, was an anime fan. Like I love the references, I love the callbacks, I love the parallels, and like you guys, Michael B. Jordan, this is a strong first film, like a strong first film. I'm also utterly in love with Jonathan Majors, as pretty much all of us are. Loved seeing Drago come back. I want him to have his own movie because I feel that character is rich enough to, and I also like the actor himself. Like I want him to have his own thing going on where they can delve deeper. For me, I would say that what both of you have said, like the Felicia Rashad and her position as a mother, like yes, how everything went was completely cliche, but the fact that like it was done so well and with dialogue that was very meaningful. Like I knew that the mom and son were going to have an argument. I knew she would go like her sickness would come back, and I knew that they would have a final scene like that would be in some way like redeeming the situation. Because like what he said, but like when I heard what he said to her, I was like, oh, don't say that. And then like when I heard what she was saying to him when she was in the bedroom, like all of that, like just I knew it was coming and I was still not prepared. In terms of like a positive masculinity thing that tactics that you're bringing up, I would say that seeing him open up to his wife, but also seeing like I loved seeing that oh my god, her name's Bianca or Tessa Thompson's character, when she was like trying to talk to him and he was saying no, like, and when they started yelling at each other and just and they noticed that the daughter was there, that entire family, like this entire scene, I felt was so well done. And in a way, like it showed like almost like he's clearly going through something and he's trying to like not experience it. She's trying to understand, and they're having a legitimate argument. And she is standing toe to toe with the heavyweight champion of the world. And is just like, she's like, no, you need to talk to me about this. This isn't a cowering wife. This isn't like a wife who's like lost control. This is a wife who's equal. They are equals in this situation. And when the daughter comes in, I love how Michael was just kind of like, he turns away quickly, but controlled. Like his control comes back full on. And the fact that she's like, she doesn't say it like threateningly. She doesn't give any kind of sass. She's like, you need to figure stuff out because she can't see you like this. And then she goes and that's it. She goes over and picks up the girl. And the girl's not terrified. The girl is kind of going through what we all have experienced to some degree, seeing adults fight and how we react to it. Whether it's your parents you see fighting, whether you see other parents fighting, like when we see like adults fighting, it is a new dynamic. And like that young girl really does a fantastic job. Like basically, I loved everything about the scene. Jonathan Majors, honestly, we could spend an entire podcast about how this man is fantastic. Like I will even say when he came to the house and met the daughter for the first time and was like, because we saw the trailer, we knew that he was up to no good. We didn't know to what extent, but we knew he was up to no good. But I found that, and I kind of want to rewatch the movie and re-see that scene. For some reason, when he saw the daughter for the first time and was like trying to talk to her, I felt there was an element of him no longer, like him not being the villain of the story, but him being the brother, like instantaneously brought back to being the brother again. Because he saw the daughter and then like he was communicating with her. I don't know why, but I found that to be a very beautifully acted scene. I think I have a different perspective on the beach. Like I will agree that was a bit like kind of like I'm the villain, ha ha ha, sort of moment that I felt was done not as I'm not as critical as you guys have been with that scene, because for me, I saw a man who finally was letting out his deep-seated anger. And Jonathan Majors, obviously he killed the scene. I agree with you, Darcy. It could have absolutely done with another set of dialogues or exchanges or even an entire scene altogether. But I still found that Jonathan Majors made that scene so believable for me that I was okay with it. I didn't note that as a criticism. In terms of criticisms, you guys have pretty much said, you guys have essentially covered all of my points. So like I'll just be repeating at this point. But I felt that the ending fight scene had the emotional elements that I wanted, but I felt, not that I'm like wanting more glorified fighting, but I just felt that like this was less of a well choreographed fight than what we're used to getting as a final fight, which essentially you said too. I did love that too. Like I love the callback to the anime punches and stuff like that. I love the double punch thing that made me like chuckle and also be like adorbs. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. And I like my buddy who I went with to see it, Jimmy, was saying that this felt like the most indie Rocky / Creed film in the entire franchise. Like it was an art film as opposed to an action film. And I completely agree with that. There was like the close-ups, like you were so close to all of the actors on most of the scenes that you're up close and in their faces a lot of the time. It's a very deeply personal film that also has a lot of imagery, but also a lot of closeness that you're like you can't help but feel the emotion. And because every actor is there and is good at what they do, it really it didn't feel like people were acting. It felt like a documentary. At times, anyway.
It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So, like for example, like when we're seeing like the family moments between him and his daughter, or when we're seeing, like for example, when just like going to school, and like of course the two of them are going to be having this kind of disagreement in front of the teacher about how things should be like dealt with like fighting at school, but like. I don't know, it just a lot of those moments just felt so real because of the acting and the directing. So like for me, I really love that about this film. So yeah, those are like kind of like my overall thoughts about it.
By the way, this is going back to a long time ago in a podcast, but now that you guys are full Jonathan Majors fans, y'all need to watch an episode or two from Lovecraft Country, because
I saw the first episode. I need to see more.
he plays a fundamentally opposite character of anything you've seen, right? Like, his character is not Kang, it's not Dame, it's, I'm trying to think of other things we've seen him in recently, but it's
How Do They Fall?
How Do They Fall? It's none of those characters. He knows how to go into a character and be that character in a way that's like, yeah, it's not the same. And coming from that as my reference for him, and then seeing all what he's done, I'm like, yeah, you guys don't have the appreciation. Like, and you guys do appreciate it, but you don't have the appreciation for how different of a person I thought he was based off of that role. And then I see these, I'm like, yeah, this is not the same.
No. Yeah. So, T.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out one other thing that I didn't realize until I think one of you guys said something that triggered a memory. So Apollo Creed had other kids, and I totally forgot about that. And then they made a reference to that in
Daughters, right?
What? No, didn't he have a son and a daughter, or was it two daughters?
I just remember he said something about his sisters. That's why I say daughters.
Oh, okay. Well, because I know because I remember seeing a scene in one of the old Rocky movies where you see two kids at Apollo's house, and then they made a reference to that. He was like, when he was arguing with the mom, he was basically saying like, your kids never appreciated me or never treated me like family. He's like, Dame treated me more like family than your own two kids ever did, or something like that. And
yeah,
I'm wondering if like he plans on, if he ever does like another Creed movie and he's the director, if he plans on introducing their storyline into the mix in some capacity.
So Maybot says that one other son and a daughter, both unnamed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I was looking at the image of it, and yeah, it's a daughter and son. One thing I also think it's gonna. I was like talking to this with my partner on the way out of the film, and you always know it's a good film when you're like on the way out and you're like talking about a lot of stuff related to it to a film. I'm like, okay, so it's Rocky, it's Creed. Well, she can't be. I'm like, his daughter can't be Creed. So what do you call that film? Because he can't be like, what is this, Creed 4, right? And it's like, but it's not about Michael B. Jordan, Adonis' character. And I'm like,
why can't she be Creed?
It could be, but it feels more like you're entering the realm of, oh, so it's another Adonis movie. No, it's the daughter. Oh, it's just
okay.
Confusing marketing. And then I was like, Amara. I think that works. I think it's. I think I like that, and because Rocky's Rocky Balboa, so it's the first name. So we'll go back from the first name.
Yeah, but I think what they'll do is they'll probably do Amara Creed and then they'll do Amara. So they'll do it backwards because what they did with Rocky was they did Rocky, yeah, and then at the end they ended with Rocky Balboa. So I think they'll do Amara Creed, and then
that's strong. That's strong. Yeah, and I really think that an ASL character would be really interesting because there's the element of how much does sound play into boxing as a competitive or disadvantage, and then there's probably a disadvantage. So what does he overcome to that? And I think that'd be an interesting way to also bring the other kids in, the Adonis's siblings, her uncle,
basically, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right, and like, what does that play into it? Maybe there's a whole lineage thing with grandmother not being there and now reaching out to the other ones. Maybe that's part of her journey, and that's how we can expand the family and explore parts we've completely ignored. So I just think it's going to be really interesting. And I love what you're saying. Amara Creed, then Amara, then something else off of that.
Yeah,
Creed Legacy, like Maybot saying.
Ooh, nice.
That'd be nice too.
Yeah, that's good too. That's good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think it'd be good to avoid it sounding like another Adonis movie
Yeah.
from a marketing perspective. I think it's just too weak. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to volley it back to you, T, for our closing remarks.
All right. Well, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us on the podcast. I'm your boy Tactics. This has been another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast.
it's just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Kumar. Please like and subscribe and live long and prosper, y'all. There it is.
There it'll stay.